Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with the first part of our folio journal. I mentioned this in a previous video. We're going to be doing a masculine themed folio using file folders. This is going to be called the Gentleman's Faith Journal. I love the idea of it. I was looking for something a little bit more feminine, but nothing really touched my heart when I was looking around at digitals. So I decided to go ahead and do something a little bit different. I might even give it to my son, who is a strong man of faith. So we'll see. I don't know if men, necessarily appreciate those things, but I don't want it sitting around in the studio either. So this is what we're going to be making. We're going to be making using 2 file folders. And today we're just going to be doing the construction to this point. And then in part 2, we will go, in part 1, we might put some of our papers on in terms of the inside lining of these pockets and such, but we will talk about that a little bit more as we go along. But as you can see, we have 2 folders represented here, and they are glued back to back to create this kind of effect. Now we will need to make sure that we reinforce this spine because this is not going to be strong enough. So I need to think about how I want to do that. So we will have to think about that together if we do proceed with doing some of the papers. I might just do the cutting and the gluing and just call it a short video and come back in part 2 and start reinforcing the spine and putting some papers on. So I wrote some little directions on here. You're going to need 2 file folders. Obviously, you can choose what cut type you want. I liked the one that had the tabs on the end. I felt like it was way more conducive to the design that I was looking for to have that. So that's what we're going to be replicating. This is just my prototype. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding the center of each of our folders using my zero gravity ruler. And then we're going to measure out 1/4 inch on either side of that center mark to get our spine. Our spine is each of these is 1/2 inch. There is some trimming that has to happen on this edge, which I will talk with you about when we get there. And yeah, I think it's going to be cool. It's imperfect. You can see even on my sample here, we've got this sticking out and it's not quite level, but I don't worry about that. I think it adds to the overall look of the project. Then we are going to score on the marks that we made. So we'll have 2 marks on each page and we're going to score so that again we get a full 1/2 inch for each of our folders for the spine. And then we're going to cut off. So this is obviously too tall. So let me grab my ruler. I have a really hard time covering file folders when they're too tall. So this actually measures 9.5 inches tall. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off a bit on the bottom and then we're going to glue the bottoms back together so that we end up with a file folder journal at its highest point measuring 8.25 inches. So we will get to that as well. Little secret. So this is just my wedding band. Yesterday at school, my stone, it's not like a super expensive diamond or anything. I'm not that girl, but it fell out. And so now I need to figure out what I want to do. It would be so expensive to try to put a stone in the setting and it's a cheap ring. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but that's why that looks a little bit different. I feel a little bit naked. I don't really like that. Been wearing that ring for a long time. So and then we're going to and then I mentioned before, we will have to, once these are folded and scored, we will have to even up this edge on the right, and then we're going to glue the 2 backs together, but we are not going to be gluing the sides. And what I mean by that is this. So see how this is open? So this is the bottom that's been re-glued, but in order to get our papers in here, it would be helpful to have this open a little bit. So we will make pockets and such as we go along. And then I'm not sure what I want to do with that. I think I want to just glue that here. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that piece, but we will get to it together. So I left everything open for now. So I need to take a moment and grab my score tool, my scoreboard, and my big cutter, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with my equipment. I did forget to go over the papers with you. So I did print the rustic wood kit. It's got 6 pages of the design, and the other one that's that rustic, like sewn looking, kind of industrial looking paper. And I printed all of them because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to use. So I do have 12 pages here to pick from. But I printed these on 32-pound paper because we don't need that bulk. And so we're going to start by measuring. So even though I brought these into view, I am going to set them over here for a moment. And we are going to, grabbing my prototype and putting it right there so I can see. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the first folder, and I'm going to find the center. And again, I like to use my zero gravity ruler to do that. So I'm just going to place this here, and I'm going to find my center. So we need to go this way just a bit, like so. And I'm going to grab my pencil, and I'm going to move this down a little bit so that I can get a mark closer to the bottom of the file folders here. I find that to be more helpful. Again, it's not going to be perfect. We are going to have to do some trimming. So I'm just going to make a mark there, and I'm going to switch rulers because I like this one for getting my more exact measurements. And then we're going to make a mark 1/4 inch from that center mark right there, and on the other side as well. Okay, we're going to do the same with the second one, and then we will score them together. Now obviously I could just put this up here, which I might just do. Let's just do that. Let's just do that. Let's just use those marks because they should be the same size. Similar to envelopes, everything is always like imperfect, it seems like. So there we go. We don't necessarily need that middle mark. That was just to find our center. So I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. And this keeps getting in the way, so I'm going to set it over there. And I'm going to get my score tool. Okay, so let's score the first one. Whoops. Boy, oh boy. So I'm going to turn this upside down just so obviously I can get this up here. And it doesn't matter where it lands on here. I'm just going to line it up. Line my first mark up there. I'm going to score it twice. It's pretty thick. And then we're going to score on the next line. So when you're done, you should have a 1/2 inch here. So we'll check our work. And there we have a 1/2 inch. Perfect. Okay, let's do the other one. Okay, I think we're done with the score tool. So the scoreboard. As I mentioned before, I don't have places to set everything anymore. So, okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the bit off of the bottom. So we need to take 1 1/4 inches off the bottom to bring the height at its tallest point to 8 1/4. That is my goal. So let's measure out 1 1/4 inches with our little magical ruler. I call this my cheat ruler because I can't read a ruler with all the weird, the 3/8, the 5/8. I should be able to, but it just doesn't fit in my brain for some reason. So I'm going to mark that, and then let's mark this one as well. What did I say? Oh, 1 1/4, not 1 1/2. I think I did that wrong. Nope, that one is right. This one I was going to do wrong. So 1 1/4 inches. Of course, you could make the height of yours anything you like. You do not have to cut them off. So before I cut, I'm going to grab my Barely Arts glue so that we're ready for gluing. So I'm going to bring my cutter over. It's a Big Mama. This is the precision trimmer, which I absolutely love. And we're going to go ahead and cut. I'm just going to move this up because I need it to be stable on my table. It's too wide this way for my table space. So there we go. Let's cut that off, and we will come back to that folder in a moment. I'm just going to set it over there nicely. And this one. Okay, that was a little off. I'm going to shave just a bit more because I do not want to create a problem unnecessarily. So I just literally need a hair's breadth more off. So that's what the precision trimmer does, you guys. Let me show you this and get a hold of it. That's how fine it can do. It's an amazing, amazing cutter. So just get those out of my way, and I can move my cutter. And I should have set up my little TV tray, but we're not doing that much in this first video. So I want to go slow enough that if you guys are following along and really want to learn how to do this exactly the way I'm doing it, this is kind of a beginner series kind of project because I'm going to show you everything. I'm not going to do anything off camera. So I don't know how long of a series it's going to be, but we're going to do it together. So I'm just going to put some Barely Arts here on this edge. I want to keep at as close to the edge as possible. These are pretty deep pockets that we'll be making, so I'm not too concerned about costing myself some landscape there. And then I'm just going to put this in place, and then I'm going to make sure that it's lining up in all ways in terms of the outside edges as well as the score lines. So, oh, come on, move over. That was a fast glue. Let's try that again. Oh my goodness, that was terrible. Terrible. Let's see if we can get that straightened out. Again, there we go. That's better. Maybe. That was interesting. Now we're off. Why are we off? Okay. There we go. That's better. So hopefully that will stick. It should be enough glue to stick. Okay, so let's glue the other one. And I'm just moving this piece up here so that I know that I'm just going to bring it towards myself, and I'll be able to get it exactly where I want it to be. Again, table space is a challenge here. Okay, let's see if we can do a little bit better this time. I'm going to not press it down so quickly. That's what I'm going to do. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. That looks pretty good. Again, you know, we can shave things off that don't seem to fit really well. Okay. I need to think about how I'm going to reinforce that spine though. So now we're going to go ahead. Let me start with this one since it's had another moment to dry, and I'm going to work on that score line. And I'm just lining it up across the bottom here so that I can start out with a really even fold. Okay. And then we're going to do the second score line. So that's what you should end up with, just like that. Okay, let's do the other one. I'm not concerned that this is a little bit wrinkled. This was in my one of my canvas drawers out in the living room, and it got a little bit scrunched, but it's not a problem. It's going to be covered with paper. There we go. Again, I'm just trying to line up that bottom edge. This is what I'm looking for. I want to make sure that that stays in place before I give that hard crease. Still a little bit wonky. Let's see if I can fix that. Give that a good bone fold. I'm going to just try to pinch that there so it does not move. Takes a little bit of strength, guys, because this is file folder and it's 2 layers at this point. So there we go. So we've got 2 of those. So you know what? This one is not going to need any trimming. Isn't that strange? So my other one, I had to trim a bunch off this edge, but look at how straight that is. I don't think I have to trim it. So, and if I do, I can trim it later. So that worked out better than my prototype. So that's super cool. Now I want to think about this first before we start gluing, because we need to reinforce this spine, but I just glued those together. I should have waited to glue that bottom piece because I could stick some tape in there. I think I'm gonna take a moment and find my tape that I want to use, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna just use this masking tape, and we're gonna cover the back of this is the outside, so we're gonna use 2 pieces of tape, and we're gonna have to do the inside and the outside, or we might do 3. We'll see. I'm gonna just go there. So see how I'm lining it up exactly with the lines on this side, so that we can cover that, and it's going to get a double coverage. So we'll do another one. So again, we get double coverage on that actual spine piece, because you want your spine to be very strong. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pick that up, and we'll use my sticky scissors to cut this tape. There we go. Okay, and we're going to do something similar. I suppose I could just, yeah, I think I can just reinforce this. I don't even have to go inside of this like I thought I would, because that's going to be enough. But the tricky part is I can only reinforce to here because of this lip. And I like that lip. It's going to add some interest. So let's see if we can figure this out together. I'm going to make a straight edge here with my tape so that I can get that on that edge, hopefully. A little bit of precision. Actually, let me get a piece of parchment so I can protect that little bit that's here. So let me just stick this in here. I'm one-handed. There we go. That solves that problem. So now I'm going to turn this so that I can line up this straight edge that I created with the top of the file folder, doing the same exact thing, like so. Looks like we got a little bit of edge to clip off there, but that's okay. We'll do that right now. It's just a teeny tiny bit. It wasn't quite straight. That was the problem. Okay. And then let's do another piece, similar. I'm not going to worry about getting that straight edge. I'll just trim it off since I've got that parchment there. Didn't think about that when we started. There we go. So let's go ahead and trim off the bottom first. Now you could use washi to do this, whatever you like or whatever you have. You just want to reinforce that. You could reinforce it with paper as well. It doesn't have to be tape. And then I'm just going to even that off, cut that off as well. Boom. That was easy. I love it. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the other one, and I'm just going to speed that up, but I do want to get that score, that fold back in here after messing with it. Okay, sorry for the flipping and flopping. There we go. So that is the first one done. And so see how it's not going to intrude on anything because our paper is going to cover that as well. So let's do the same with this one. And the reason why you want to reinforce this is that even though we've got 2 layers of file folder that we're going to be stitching into for our spine, I want to make sure that it's not weakened at all. So, because I'm used to using chipboard when I make my covers, so this is quite different. And chipboard is extremely thick and really nice to work with. So I've been a little bit spoiled. There we go. Awesome, awesome. I'm just going to get that parchment out of the way and all these bits of tape. Okay, so let's go ahead and crease this as well. Again, just making sure that we've retained that fold. Okay. And then the other one. I did watch this on YouTube somewhere, but it's been a long time ago, and it just kind of popped back in my head. I'll see if I can find the creator that I saw this on, but there are so many ideas for folios. Look at that now. Now that I straighten that spine, look, we do have to trim that off. So what I'm looking at here is, see how square this is? It's completely square, so I do have to trim off some. So I'm going to pinch this right here. And this is about matches what I was thinking, that I need to trim off about, I think it was 1/8 of an inch is what I noted. So I'm going to just mark that, and I'm going to bring my cutter back over. I thought that was a little bit strange that I wasn't having that same issue. So we're just going to go 1/8 of an inch all the way up to the top. You know, ish. That's not quite as far as I need it to go. So again, beautiful cutting ability on this trimmer, guys. It's about $100, but I'm telling you, you'll never need another printer in your life. So, and so this one as well. See how I had this probably more like that, and that's why I didn't see that. So let me make another mark. I do not want to mess this up for you guys, so I'm going to be very precise so that you can be precise. Let's just trim this last bit off. Not a big fan of all this like rounded edges and stuff, but you know, for you guys, I'm going to deal with it. I'm moving this down this way this time because it's in camera a little bit better. So, and again, if it's not all even, it's not a big deal. It's just a file folder journal. So I'm just going to fix that up a little bit. Okay. I think we are done with that cutter for the moment. And there we go. So the next step is we're going to glue these together back to back. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think if we want to do anything else with this, because we've got this is open, and I think this will make a great pocket. I'm just debating on whether or not, I think I want it to be a top pocket. You guys can decide that yourself. You could also glue it at the top along this lower edge and have a side pocket, but then it makes it really hard to do a closure on this. So I'm going to stick with a top pocket, opening. So I'm going to just use my Barely Arts here on this edge all the way down. Got some rough scissor edges there, just wanting to catch. So I'm just going to pick that up and just give that a good smushing. So then we've got a pocket here. So I'm just going to put an arrow up, and obviously this is an arrow up. And then This one is the same. There we go. Let's do it on the second one. We're going to follow the same process. It's a very big pocket, so I wouldn't be too concerned about losing any of your inside landscape from that glue line. I try to be very conscientious of that so I don't make my pocket smaller than it needs to be or than I want it. So, okay, here we go. So we are going to cover, we're going to glue this together, and then we are going to cover the front and back, just because I like to have a nice photo on the channel when I put the video up. Otherwise, I mean, this kind of looks boring, right? Just like this. So that's probably what I'll do. So let's go ahead and glue these together. So you have to be mindful. So see how this is, we don't want to get glue on this. I'm just going to lay it that way. We don't want to get glue up here because of our tab. So I'm going to follow this line of this lower portion. So I'm going to put my glue on this side. In fact, I'm going to lay it flat. Okay. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac because it gives me more opportunity to move it. Now, this being said, you could make this a pocket as well. I don't want to do that because this journal is going to have plenty to offer, so we're not going to do that. But you could glue just the edges here and make a pocket between the two signatures, or the two, yeah, well, basically these are the signatures. So now I got to get myself in gear here. What am I doing? So I do need to fold it back up because otherwise that's going to be kind of tricky to do. And I'm just going to set this on here, and I'm going to quickly move it so that I can affect where it lives here. So I'm pressing here. I'm making sure that this edge up here is even for my spine, and everything looks really good and nice and straight. So trying to figure out where I need to press. We need to press here. So I'm just going to give that a good smushing, a little bit of a rub. Okay, like that. Love it. So that's what you should look like when you're done. You should have two 1/2 inch spines for a total of 1 inch. And that looks really, really good. So this is the part that's glued together. So I'm going to give this a minute. And while that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and look at the papers. And we're going to, again, put papers on the front and the back. So I'm leaning towards these ones for some reason. So we've got that one, and I think these two right here. But this is another one. This has got some Bible text, it looks like, in German on there. Maybe it's the Bible, I'm not sure. And then, but this one is also really, really pretty. I love that as well. So maybe we'll mix it up. I think I'll do this one and this one for front and back. It's not going to matter, you guys. It's going to be amazing no matter what we choose. And of course, you do not have to follow along with the Gentleman's Faith Journal kits or papers that I'm using. You can use whatever speaks to you. I'm very much an inspirational creator, so I have to work with images that inspire me. I can't just pick something willy-nilly. So I'm just going to take a drink here. I'm still fighting this cold. So which way do we want this one? Do we want this one on the front? I think I want the solid script on the front here. So what I'm going to do, I talk about this a lot. I'm going to kind of do the lazy way of cutting because I know that I can get my paper on exactly where I want it, and I can always trim off the edges. Now, I am debating on wrapping. I don't want to wrap it. I'll probably use a different piece to cover the spine when we get to that point. So I'm hoping that I can open this up without too much difficulty. So when I put my paper on, I'm only going to this line. So I do need to cut it Well, I just need to line it up to there when I glue. Goodness gracious. As usual, making it harder than it needs to be. So here we go. I may decide to stitch around this cover. I don't know. I don't like to stitch around that stuff, and it would be really hard to get this in my machine, but I'm not closing the door of possibility on that. So I'm going to try to not waste any of this paper. So I'm going to go as far down as I can and make sure that we're nice and straight and right up to that score line fold. So let's just press that out. And I do apologize, in the Crash or Trash episode 25, I showed you all these papers, but then I didn't link them. And one of the gals asked me to go ahead and link them. So I have. Did I go back? I don't know if I went back and put them edited it into the video. So I will go back and do that momentarily. So when I get done with this video, I will do that. Where's my other scissors are in the living room. Dang it. Okay, we're just going to have to use the sticky scissors. That's okay. I'm just going to cut along that edge. I've been fussing cutting like a madman because I've got so many things going on. So I'm still working on the, I'm barely working on the At the Beach journal. And I'm really done with ephemera. Just a matter of I need to carve out time to finish the journal. But I am cutting still on ephemera for the boho journal and this journal and the Paris, what am I calling that? Paris romance journal, I think is what I'm going to call it. I went a little high on that, not a problem. Just going to trim that off. I'm loving that paper. I just love it when I get a good paper. I do need to go and grab my fussy cut scissors because they are in the living room. I'll be right back. I did end up finding one more kit in the Paris blue theme from Liana Scrap, and I'm going to be using that because it's more different ephemera that I can be adding into the journal. So I'm just going to trim this off. It's easier to do this when you've got that hard base of the file folder, so you should not have any trouble. Even with big scissors, it shouldn't be a problem. So look at that. I think we're going to have to do the spine too. We're doing okay on time, so I'm not worried about it. But I do want to keep the video short because I want it to be digestible episodes for you guys to follow along, if that makes sense. So let's see if we can lay this one out as well. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And so we're going to do the same with this one now. We've got a little bit of a white edge on there, so I need to trim that off. I didn't quite get that right. So let me just turn to my trimmer here and just zip that off. There we go. So we're going to do the same thing here. Oh, I just got that up. Oh, I do want it to that line. Sorry, guys. Almost misled you. You do want it to go all the way to that middle line. Just, I'll show you here in a second, just in case I lost you in my gluing. So I'm making sure I'm leaving this one without glue. Okay, we're only going to that line. And I'm going to do my best to get this straight because I'm at an angle that I'm not super comfortable with. So I'm just going to line that up like so. You don't want it to go over there because that, oh, you got to move it up, Cara-Renee. So again, Fabri-Tac is your friend because you can move it. Come on. Ah, why isn't it moving? I'm going to turn this. Fabri-Tac is usually really, really forgiving. Oh my gosh, what did you do, Cara-Renee? Oh my word. How silly is that? So now I have to be pretty precise because once you take it off and try to put it back on, it's not as movable as it would have been in the first go around. So isn't this paper amazing? And again, I don't have it like right in front of me, guys, but But yes, I had the viewer that shared and said, you should write down those kits. I do. I actually log them in a spreadsheet, but I didn't have that. Like usually I like write it on a Post-it note or whatever. So, and I didn't do that. So now we've got some extra glue over here. We're going to have to watch for that. But I'm going to use my regular scissors because I like them better to get the non-glued part cut off. And I'm going to go all the way to the end of the paper because I'm trying to not waste any of these scraps by cutting them smaller than they need to be. I'm getting very excited about this journal. It's going to be fun and different. I'm hoping that my son will like it. I can't think of anybody else that would really appreciate it. He would appreciate it because it's from me, if nothing else. But we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. So now I'm going to use the sticky scissors to get this mess off, because now I've got glue all the way to the top of this piece of paper. And that can cause a problem with your scissors. But now I've got to do, let's let that dry a bit because I have to use my fussy cut scissors and I don't want to do that. I'm just going to rub this off a little bit. This is Fabri-Tac, so it works well to just kind of rub off the top layer of that glue. Like so, and we should be okay. This is a weird angle though, so hopefully I'm not throwing you guys off. Forgive my sniffles. Feel pretty good though. I mean, it's nearly October and this is the first time I've been sick, so I mean, like, you know, it's got me. This time it's got me. So, and last year at this time I was having gallbladder surgery, so super grateful that that's not my life right now. There we go. And then we'll just go around this little funny shape. Nice. Okay, so I do want to do the spine piece just so that we again have something pretty to share in the photos, and we're still a little bit weird here. What happened? See this right here? That is strange. So I guess it's not, because it's all going to be covered. So I don't want to do any trimming and mess that up. So we're going to leave it, but we do need to cover the spine, which is going to be extremely tricky because look at that. I don't know how to lay it down without, I don't know what I'm going to do. So let's see. Let's pick up another piece of paper here. We can use there. This would be actually really pretty. It's kind of wasteful, but look at that. Wouldn't that be pretty to go in the spine? I think I'm going to use that. I like to kind of go with my first gut response here. So I'm going to mark this at 1 inch, and I'm just going to try to go evenly on either side of this breakage point, if that makes any sense, because we need a total of 1 inch. And it's going to be hard to have this show as well, but we're gonna make it work. And then another mark over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just trim that really quick. I'm just going to reach over here and do that. It's a little bit hard to get that cut. Oh, that was only half of it. What did you do, Cara-Renee? That's not right. Oh, let's try that again. Okay, so our total spine is, see, you're learning with me. Oh, it's bigger. It's a little bit over 1 inch. It's 1 inch and 1/8. I'm not sure how that happened. 1 inch and 1/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to measure this out again. What were you thinking, Cara-Renee? And I'm just eye-spying to see I have about the same distance. This is my 1 1/8 inch mark, and this is my 1 inch. So I'm just looking here to see if I'm about even. I don't know what I did wrong there, guys. I must have cut on the wrong line. So this time I'm going to just cut this line, and I'm going to glue it on, and I'll cut this off once it's glued on. That will solve our problem. Okay. Whew. Sometimes things are hard. So we're going to, I do want to get the height though, because I don't want to mess with that too much. Sorry for the flipping around here. I'm going to make that mark and reach and cut that one more time. So fingers crossed I can do this, because this is tricky, and it's not going to be exactly even because I still didn't do that right. Isn't that weird? I don't know what I'm what I'm doing wrong, but that was clearly not correct. But it's okay because it's just artistic. So I'm going to put my glue on the side here. You have to be super committed right away though. So I'm hoping that I can carry this off, pull this off. Okay. And I'm just, oh, that works. Look at that. It's standing up. That should help us here. So I'm going to set that on there. Okay. And I'm just going to make sure it's nice and even. Now we'll be able to cover up that file folder color, that manila color in there in a minute. So I'm just giving that a good press. Again, you know, the ink is your friend, so it will cover up anything that goes kind of off the grid, off the plan. So, okay, just gonna let that set for a moment. And wondering the best way to cut this, because I'm just going to have to go for it. I'm going to have to just go for it. Maybe if I turn it this way, that will go better. Let's try that. This is risky business, but we're going to do it. I think we're going to be okay. I think this angle is definitely better. Gotta just move my angle a little bit here. Oh my goodness, the scissors are so sticky. And then once you get to that, once I get so far in, I have to switch my direction because it's just difficult to see that angle. And I know this is hard for you guys to see, but I'm basically just trimming off that paper. Of course, you could have measured it out exactly, but look at that spine. I love it. I love it. So guys, we're going to call it a day today, and we're going to come back in the next video. And now I glued up those sides, and I shouldn't have because we didn't put any paper in here. You should have told me. But we will, I'll show you the workaround. So it's not too difficult because this is still open. Oh, so that's going to be fine because this is still open. So when we get to this point, though, we will want to close that up, right? Because that we don't want, well, it's not going to matter because there's going to be a signature here and there's going to be a signature here. So we are going to be fine because that is not glued yet. Whew. Wiping my forehead. So I will see you in the next video, my friends. Take care. Bye-bye.